Hello, everyone. Welcome to Durrett's Take. I'm finally going to talk about what's happened this from the NBA draft, and NBA free agency, and all that. I know you guys have been waiting for that. And this will be my last, unless a big KD trade happens or Donovan Mitchell trade happens, something like that. This will probably be my last podcast talking about NBA until about October, because I'm going to focus more on college football and NFL for next month in September and all that. But let's get started. So what I did is I went through each team's, free agency acquisitions and drafts and trades and stuff, and then I gave them a letter grade of how I think I did. So let's get started. We'll go in alphabetical order. So we got the Atlanta Hawks. To me, they get a B, and a lot of you may think that's low considering they were able to get point guard DeJounte Murray from the Spurs. He would definitely help out with their horrible defense because he's an All-NBA defender. But to me, it's like they kind of gave up too many picks for him, in my opinion. And besides that, it's like, Maurice Harkless, Justin Holiday, Frank Kaminsky, Aaron Holiday, and then drafting AJ Griffin Jr. and Tyrese Martin. It's like, it's not really going to do much or move the needle. So, obviously, DeJounte Murray gets in pretty good grade, but, not a complete A. Now, who does get actually the perfect A plus is the Boston Celtics, because their one weakness, well, two weaknesses. One weakness was, not having a true point guard. It's just Marcus Smart's better as a shooting guard than point guard. No offense to him, just the way it is. They were able to trade Malcolm Brogdon, and not only trade him, they only give up one first-round pick and then a bunch of other bench players that mean nothing. So they stole him, basically. And then they were able to sign veteran Danilo Gallinari to help bolster their bench, because that was their other problems. They just didn't have a deep bench. So now it's like, okay, now you have a true point guard, check, and now you have a deep bench, check. So it's like Boston has no excuses anymore on why they shouldn't win a title now. I hate to say that, but they did good. Brooklyn, their grade is incomplete because we don't know exactly what's going to happen with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durrett this offseason. I like how they traded for Wes O'Neal to get a good 3-and-D guys to say lost Bruce Bowen. They re-signed center Nick Claxton, re-signed veteran point guard Patty Mills, signing veteran wingman T.J. Warren was a huge get because a lot of people forgot about him. He was awesome in the bubble, but then he has injury that kept him out all last season. So if he comes back normal, then that's a steal for Brooklyn there, especially if KD decides it's out wherever. You need some star power there, and T.J. Warren can provide that potentially. Next is Charlotte. I'm giving them a D-. Now, they didn't even made any free agent acquisitions. All they done was just drafted 3 players. They drafted center Mark Williams from Duke, guard Bryce McCown from Nebraska, and Josh Minott, the forward from Memphis. And now I do like, I feel like at least one of those 3 picks has to at least pan out, so that's why I'm a complete F. But, nothing to give them a passing grade. Next is Chicago Bulls. I'm giving them an A- because they did their part. They re-signed Zach LaVine. That was important to keep him. Maybe a Zach LaVine, Lonzo Ball, DeMarzo guard trio. Maybe that won't get it done, but at least you gotta stay relevant. And Zach LaVine makes him stay relevant. You get a backup center was a huge issue for Chicago. So Tristan Thompson, Thomas Bryant, like that's not gonna get done. But signing Andre Drummond to 2-year deal, that will help get it done because Andre Drummond is a very good backup center. And then they signed veteran point guard Goran Dragic to help mentor, Lonzo Ball and Kobe Ball, who's the backup point guard, and the point guard they did just draft Dalen Terry from Arizona. So I like what Chicago did this offseason. Next is Cleveland. I'm giving them a B. They re-signed point guard Ricky Rubio, which is very important. He was very valuable for them for his ACL tear. They get another veteran backup center, Robin Lopez, which can't hurt. They extended, Darius Garland for 5 years, which is good. I like their first-round pick, Ochai Agbaji. I feel like, as we saw with Kansas, he helped them win the NCAA tournament. The other draft picks are like cross your fingers type of draft picks, but I feel like, Cleveland had a decent offseason, so I'm giving them a B. Dallas Mavericks, I'm giving them a B, and that's being kind of generous. Now they traded for Christian Wood, which I feel like is a home run. You lost Jalen Brunson, so you need scoring, which you get with Christian Wood, and you need a big man, which you get with Christian Wood. But then also they signed JaVale McGee, another big man, to help get rebounds, because getting rebounds and defending the paint was a huge issue for the Mavs in that series against the Warriors. But now they just fixed that. And I like their draft pick from Jay Hart, who was supposed to be a first-round pick, but fell in the second round. It was a good gift for them. Theo Pinson's their hot guy. Now, I mean, Christian Wood, I mean, he's an all-star caliber player on a good year, but you could say the same thing with like a Dinwiddie and Harwich. Like on their best years, Christian Wood could be an all-star caliber player, but we'll see if not getting a bona fide, second star for Luka. We'll see how that plays out. On Denver Nuggets, I'm giving them a B+. I like the trade for KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, because Will Barton's getting old, and all that, so it's better to get a veteran 3D guy who's won a championship with the Lakers, and to get a very good veteran backup point guard, Smith, and then they signed wingman Bruce Bowen from the Nets, who's been a valuable player for the Nets. Since they're not a very good defense team, he's been their lone defense players. Now Denver gets more defensive help, which they desperately need because the Warriors exposed them defensively last year. And they extend, MVP Nikola Jokic is good. And then drafting Christian Braun and Peyton Watson. I'm not sure if either of those picks are going to pan or not. I have questions about them, which is why I don't get a full A, an A in my opinion, but the B+ is a good enough grade. Next is Detroit. I'm giving them a B-. I like the trade for Nerlens Noel and center Nerlens Noel and guard Alex Burks because they definitely need some veteran leadership with this young Detroit team. I like that they sent Marvin Bagley because while he didn't work out for Sacramento, he's working out with Detroit so far. And then I like their draft picks in Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren. I feel like those are pretty good picks there. That both have, especially Jaden Ivey, has potential to pop. Next is the Golden State Warriors. I'm giving them a C+. They re-signed Kevon Lee, which is good. They signed, JaMychal Green, a nice veteran forward, which is good. They signed Dante DiVincenzo, which is a steal. For the price they signed him at, but they did lose Gary Payton II, who was valuable for them last year. And they did lose Otto Porter Jr., who's another good veteran bench player for them. So I feel like that's why they don't get like a perfect A or anything, but they at least did their part and retained some players. While for the players they couldn't replace, they fixed that problem. So you get a C+, maybe even B-. Houston, they get a D-. I like their draft picks. Jabari Smith was a good pick. I like Terry Eason. He was balling in the G League. Ty Washington, we'll see how he is. Otherwise, they didn't. They traded, for a lot of bench players when they traded Christian Wood, but they haven't made any like bench acquisitions, which I give them the D-, because it's like no free agents coming to Houston right now, which is a bad look for them. Next is Indiana. They get a D- as well. They traded for all those bench players in the Malcolm Brogdon deal, so you get nothing for them. They signed a veteran center, Jalen Smith, who's not going to do anything for them. The reason why they don't get complete F is because I do like their draft pick of Benedict Mathurin, the shooting guard from Arizona. I feel like that's an excellent get for them. I feel like him, with Tyrese Halliburton, who's there, and Chris Duarte, who they drafted last year. Those three guards will be good for long haul. It's just, the wings and big man is what the patient now you work on to be relevant. Next, LA Clippers, I give them A. They were able to get John Wall at a very good price. They re-signed Zubac. They re-signed Nicholas Batum. They re-signed Amir Coffey. So they did everything they were supposed to there. Excellent gift to the Clippers. Lakers, I'm giving them a D-. I know because of Westbrook and AD and LeBron, they don't have much money to work with to make good free agent acquisitions. I do like getting them center Thomas Bryant. He's a good get. He played pretty well with Washington. But it's like, Juan Toscano Anderson, he didn't do much for the Warriors. Damian Jones, Lonnie Walker, fourth, who didn't do much for the Spurs. It's like, all these are not really going to move the needle, So that's why I get a D-. Memphis Grizzlies, I'm giving them a C-. They extend jobs, which is good. They re-signed Tyus Jones, which I feel like was a good get, especially since they traded D'Anthony Melton to the 76ers. Now, they get Danny Green from that trade, but Danny Green's going to be out mostly all year, and I think he's on last year's contract, so it's not going to do much for them. Draft-wise, I have questions about how good of a draft they just had, especially since their players in the draft recently didn't perform well in the G League, so we'll kind of see how that turns out. So that's why I don't get like a higher grade than C-. Miami, they get a D-. They re-signed their backup center, Wayne Denman, fine. They re-signed wingman Caleb Martin, fine. I like their draft pick of Nikola Jovic. That could be a potential steal there, but it's like the whole point. One, you lost PJ Tucker, which is a extreme loss for Miami, my opinion. But then also you didn't get that second star for Jimmy Butler that you desperately needed, so you did your job there. Milwaukee, a B+. I liked how they re-signed Bobby Portis for a long-year deal. I liked how they extended guard Conte is a good, valuable bench player for them. I liked how they signed veteran Joe Ingles. I feel like the problem for the Bucks is that whenever Giannis was out or Drew Holiday was on the bench, it was just hard for the Bucks to get their offense rolling, especially with Chris Middleton out. But I feel like while Joe Ingles is coming off a major injury, I feel like Joe Ingles can help get the second unit rolling while Giannis or Drew Holiday, whoever's out. So Milwaukee doesn't completely collapse whenever those star players have to go to the bench. Then their draft pick, we'll see how he turns out. Marjan Beauchamp from the G League. Minnesota, I'm giving them a B+. They extended Karl-Anthony Towns, which they're supposed to. They obviously traded for Rudy Gobert, that they give it too much, in my opinion, which is why they don't get a complete A. But nevertheless, they addressed their issue of rim protection, which they desperately needed to. They got good veterans in Kyle Anderson and Austin Rivers, Eric Pascal. I like their draft pick of Wendell Moore Jr., so they did a pretty good offseason for them. New Orleans, give them a D+. I mean, he extended Zion Williamson, which is good. We'll see if he stays healthy for once. And then, their draft picks of Dyson Dales to G League, Ichie Liddell from Ohio State. It's like, I'm not sure they're going to move the needle or not, especially Ichie Liddell already going to be out for the year with the injury. Because Dyson Dale seems more like a continuing project for me. So I feel like it's not going to be much contributor for a team that wants to contribute finally. New York, again, them a B. They signed Jalen Brunson, which they needed to sign anyone for that matter, so they did that at least. They re-signed Mitchell Robinson, the center, which is valuable. And then they drafted guard Trevor Keels from Duke, which is pretty good. Now they can trade for Donovan Mitchell, then we'll think of them more. But otherwise, they're just kind of they at least didn't get worse basically. Oklahoma City, I'm giving them a B also. They re-signed Lou Dort, who's a very good wing guard for them, and then they had a very good draft night with Chet Holmgren, Osami Dion, Jalen Williams, and the other Jalen Williams from Arkansas. I feel like most of those picks are going to pan out, so I like the direction Oklahoma City's going. Orlando gets a C-. You re-signed veteran Gary Harris. Fine. You drafted Paolo Banchero. The first pick, we'll see how that turns out. I feel like it'll turn out decent, so I give them at least a C-. Philadelphia, I'm giving them A. They re-signed James Harden to a 2-year cheaper deal. They get P.J. Tucker, who's a good veteran there. They trade for D'Anthony Melton, who's going to give them more scoring off the bench. They signed Daniel House Jr. again, going to give them more depth on the bench because that was a big issue for Philadelphia last year, was they didn't have a bench. Now they just addressed that, so they should be better. Phoenix, they ended up signing DeAndre Ayton, since they one of the Pacers. They extended Booker. They signed Damian Lee, so they get a C+, because at least they were retained Ayton and all that, but just not really going to move the needle for Chris Paul's on the decline and all that. They didn't really do much to address certain needs. Portland, I'm giving them a B. They trade for wing player Jeremy Grant, who's a good get. They extended Anthony Simons and years of Nurkic and all that, which is all good for them. They get the veteran Gary Payton II from the Warriors, which I like. And then we'll see how their draft picks of Shane Sharp works out. Sacramento, I'm giving them an A-. They get a good shooting guard, Malik Monk, to come off the bench. They traded for Kevin Huerter, who's going to be another star for them. They get more scoring, which is what they needed. But then also they drafted Keegan Murray from Iowa, which, according to G League MVP, he looks like he's going to be Rookie of the Year. He looks like he's ready for the NBA. He's going to be a valuable contributor to help Sacramento even potentially make the play-in. San Antonio get D-. Maybe one of their draft picks will work out, but and they extended their best player, Keldon Johnson. That's you lost to DeJounte Murray. No way you're going to get a passing grade there. And Toronto Raptors, they get a D-. You sign Otto Jr. for the Warriors, which is good. You re-sign your center, Chris Boucher, but it's like you signed Juancho Gomez, drafted this project from Arizona center, Christian Koloko, but it's like not really much to move the needle there. Utah, they get a C- as of right now, because I do like, Patrick Beverly is a good defender for them. Malik Beasley is a good scorer. Jaron Vanderbilt's a good player, is going to improve. All the draft picks is nice and all that. Now, if they trade Donovan Mitchell, then it's going to be worse. But right now, at least give them passing grade C-. And then last but not least, with Washington, I'm giving them a B-. I like that they were able to keep Bradley Beal. They got Will Barton, Monte Morris, veterans that Washington desperately needs. Taj Gibson, DeLon Wright, all veterans that they need. We'll see the draft pick of John Davis works out. So thank you very much for listening to my podcast today, and you all have a wonderful day.